Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Wagner. This is the week 8 of school, the 8th video. This week, we are going to experiment with a little bit of more paint. I hate to ask your parents to buy paint. I'm sorry. But what we're going to do is we're going to print with fruit. I figure everybody's got maybe an orange or an apple. I have a crazy thing that I do with celery, but the paint I get at Walmart, it's those little little bottles of craft paint. They can cost from like 50 cents to $1 each. The only colors you need are red, yellow, and blue. If you were in school, these are the types of paints we have at school. I can get those in very large containers. So we use blue, red, and yellow. If you remember, blue, red, and yellow are the primary colors. You have to have those colors to make all the colors in the rainbow. I chose those colors because it doesn't matter if we overlap some of our prints with the fruit, and I have one vegetable. That way, if we do overlap them, it doesn't matter because it'll make the secondary colors. What I started with was I got a bag of oranges, a bag of apples, I had an old lemon at home, and I had a stalk of celery. I figure this is the time of the year people are making soup, so I just cut the end of the celery off, just enough that I can hang on to it. All the good stuff is still left. I put it in a bag so I can make soup with it later, but nobody really uses this part. But look at that. It looks like a rose, doesn't it? So we're gonna print with this a little bit later. But here's my old lemon. I just cut it in half. You wanna have the ends like this so that you cut down the middle, not from end to end. You want to see that spiral, the center like has that, I don't even know what that's called, but the pith is in the middle and then it goes off to the side. It kind of looks like a sunset. So that is how you're gonna cut them. You need to cut them about an hour before you're going to use them. They're juicy, so you need to let the juice kind of dry up a little bit. I did take a paper towel and blot the orange and the lemon on the paper towel and took up any excess juice that was coming out. And of course, I'm not squeezing them. I'm just holding them. My apple, I think apples are a little trickier to cut perfectly straight for some reason. This one is, of course, not perfectly straight. I'm going to have to like rock it a little bit when I print, but you'll cut the apple from the stem down so that you have an interesting print with that as well. So I'm going to start with my celery. I just pressed it in some paint and then I blotted some of the extra off on a paper plate. I'm just using paper plates to put the paint on. You can see here I have paint in a big blob. Then I took some off by dabbing it on that plate. And then this one, I'm taking any excess off so that it tends to show me what I'm going to actually print before I print. So I'm going to decide just to put it right there, and I'm going to rub it and rock it a little bit. Pull it up. That looks nice. I'm going to dab it in the paint a little more. Here's my paint. I'm going to dab it in that because there's a little paint there. If I want to add it a little bit extra, I can have a little piece of celery there. I can put a little bit extra on it with the big brush. I'm afraid to put it in the big blob of paint because I'm afraid I'll get too much on. You don't want too much. You want enough that you cover, but not so much that it like fills in the spaces. So I'm going to do another print, probably do like 2 or 3 of each one. And I'm pressing, kind of rocking my hand around a little bit. Ooh, that one's pretty too. That one even looks like it has a little more print showing. I'm gonna rub this in that little tiny bit of paint there so I get a little more on, and I might have this go off the page. And there we go. That looks nice. I think that'll be enough for my celery for right now. I'm gonna try my orange. It's blue. I'm gonna put it in. It's been sitting here for a few minutes, so I'm gonna have to put it back in a little bit of the paint. You can hear the sounds. I don't know if you can see me dabbing in that little bit of paint. It helps to cover a little more. The same thing happens with the orange. I'm gonna decide where I wanna place it. Thinking about where you wanna place it is very important because these are kind of abstract. You want to think of something special to do with it. That looks a little dark. Maybe I'll print it without putting extra. And I think the orange and lemon, because they're juicy, tend to hold the paint a little bit better than, say, the celery. I prefer this type of print. You can see a little more white. It shows, if I can get a little closer to you, it shows a little more detail in there. That was a little too much paint, but again, we're playing, we're learning. Put a little more paint. This paint over here is starting to get a little dry, so that might be a little bit better than having it super, super wet. You don't want it to be super wet. If you just dab a little bit in the wet paint and then dab around, if you have to get on another paper plate. Paper plates are very inexpensive. I dab it and I get a nicer print, I think. So I'm gonna put this in the corner, rub it, press it. That one looks pretty good too. Not quite as dark as that one. A little more detail on there. Now I'm gonna do let's do the lemon. I had the lemon in red. We'll try that one. I'm gonna dab it in the spot that I had the celery. Get a little bit, now this is a little bit drier too. That paint's been sitting out for a little bit, so it's getting a little bit more of a, not a skin, but it's drying out a little bit. Let's see how that looks compared to the orange. Ooh, I do like that. Oh my goodness, I have a little seed in there. My lemon seed. That one's nice. I really like that one. I might put one right in the middle. And oops, definitely need a little more paint. I'm gonna have to dab in. What I'm doing is I'm gonna tap just part of the lemon in there and I'm gonna move it around so I get it displaced on the lemon good. I'm gonna put it back over top of it. Now it's not gonna be exact, but that looks good. Maybe I'll even overlap a little bit on this one. Let's see what happens there. That looks cool. Got a little bit of blue on my lemon. I could always wipe that off with a napkin or something. Now, I have my red and my blue. I definitely need a little bit of yellow. My apple is my yellow. So I'm gonna try working with this. This one, remember I said was a little bit wobbly. Try that. Oh, there we go. I think I'm gonna cut another apple. I think I cut in the wrong direction. Let's see if this, with the star, is something that you would prefer. We're still gonna use yellow though. And again, I'm dabbing it in the paint. I'm gonna move it around to get some of the paint, a little more paint on it. I kind of like the star. I think the kids would like the star too. The other way was a little bit boring. Oh, there's a star. I'll put a little bit over top of those red ones. Oh, got a little paint on there. Kind of dabbing it off. Let's put it over here. That looks cool. And I'm gonna put a little more, I'm gonna put more paint on the apple every time, just because it's yellow. And there's not a whole ton of detail on the apple. Like, you're not getting all the detail that you would in the orange and the lemon. Now remember, when you're printing, you just press down. Please don't spin it. If you spin it, if you were spinning the piece of celery, you would lose that look that looks like roses. If you were spinning the apple, the center that looks like a star, you would lose it because it would spin and it would just be a little circle. Same with the orange and the lemon. You wouldn't get those nice details of the lines. So take your time, put a little bit of paint on. If you think you have too much, blot some of it off. If you have an extra paper towel, don't spin them, and enjoy the planning. Printmaking takes a little bit of time to plan. This looks nice. It doesn't really have to look like something, but some people are real good at thinking about and planning ahead what they would like to make. Maybe make the roses look like roses and just fill the page up with the celery. And then if you have some green paint or some green markers, maybe drawing leaves and stems to the flowers, or even printing, drawing some leaves just around it so it looks just like a bouquet of roses. Please remember always to take the quiz at the end of the module. At the beginning of this module, there's another one of the warm and cool videos. It's probably 2 minutes long. It may be the same one. I'm repeating these because the concept of warm and cool colors is important to us, and all the other types of colors, like the primary colors, secondary colors. Thank you very much. Please enjoy yourself, and please don't make a mess for your mom or any adults you're living with.